So it's the end of the workday. I just finished filming an episode for the podcast. I am so hungry. Ordinarily, what I would do is, because I'm so hungry and I have so much stuff to do, I would place a takeout order and I would have like DoorDash deliver and life would go on. But we're not about that life. We're not doing that. We are going to cook because we have food and we have been on a good path. So we're going to go do that. So I am like ones of days away from my punctuation mark, if you know what I mean. So my body is craving like the pasta. And so what I would really like to down right now is some chicken parm with the breading and the cheese and the pasta that's made with like the wheat and all that. But we're not going to do that. We're going to behave ourselves and we're going to make a cleaner version. So no, scratch that. We're not making chicken parm. I didn't mean to excite you. We're going to make meatballs and some pasta. So we're going to go make our meatballs. We're going to use a cleaner pasta. I think the pasta we have is made with cassava flour. Don't quote me. We'll find out in a minute. So let's head over there. Let's get out of the studio, go make some dinner because your girl is hungry. We're just going to wing it and we're going to hope for the best. I'm hoping that my vision comes to life. So let's go. Ordinarily when I cook, I'm the kind of pretend chef that just prepares as I go. So I do not do the advanced mise en place. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So I don't do like the preparation in advance. Sometimes I do it and it's mostly for you, just for videos, for show, but just know that is not who I typically am. So what I'm going to do is I am going to prepare ingredients for the meatballs and I'm going to prepare ingredients for my marinara sauce because I'm going to make a homemade marinara and just do all the things on my own except grow these veggies. So I'm going to prepare my onions, garlic, carrots, basil, and thyme, and I'm going to split those between the two. So I'm going to do half of that for the meatballs and half of that for the marinara. So you'll see when I'm cutting up the carrots, I do half of them cut into like 1.5 inch pieces. That's going to be for the marinara. And then for the meatballs, I'm going to shred them using the small shred grate on my grater. You know, we're trying new things. I have never ever put carrots in meatballs or in my marinara, but I am hoping that my vision is really going to come to life and these carrots are going to give both of these things a little extra something. When it comes to the basil, I have something working in my advantage, and that is that my little arrow garden was lousy with basil. So I knew I wanted to use it for something, and this is the perfect something to use it for. So I grabbed big, long stems of basil. I'm taking off the stuff that's crispy at the top because it's been sitting near the light. I'm gonna take this, lay my knife on it, and I'm just gonna crush it. So I'm doing this to release the oils and the fragrance of the basil so that when I throw it in the marinara, it's going to release that into the sauce itself. So I've never done it this way before, and I am just hopeful again that it's gonna work and my vision is gonna come to life. But I love fresh herbs in cooking, especially when I'm making like a sauce. Oh my gosh. For the meatballs, I have a bunch of basil leaves. So what I'm gonna do is take them, put them in a little stack with all of the stems facing the same way. I'm gonna roll them up and cut them into thin little ribbons, a chiffonade if you will. And then I'm going to take my knife and just run it through all of the ribbons just to make small pieces so that you don't get like a large ribbon of basil in your meatball, because who wants that? But it's going to be delicious. This basil is so incredibly fresh and fragrant because it just came off the plant, and oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And look at our ingredients. We have the white plate that's going to be used for the marinara sauce. So the basil is whole, the carrots are bigger, and then we have the ingredients that are going to be for the meatballs. And I'm just so excited to get this stuff going. And still crossing my fingers that it's going to turn out the way I hope it does. I have a pan here for my meatballs, a pot for the sauce, and I'm going to get everything going with about a tablespoon of olive oil in each one. And then I'm going to start cooking the onions and the carrots. I'm gonna hit each one with a little bit of salt to help the veggies sweat and release some of their moisture, which is also gonna help them to cook just a little bit faster. To help these carrots cook a little bit faster, I'm throwing in a couple of tablespoons of veggie stock. And I'm gonna put the lid on this pot and let it cook like that for about 5 minutes. I just want these guys to steam up a little bit and get softer before I really get going on this sauce, because I'm afraid otherwise they won't cook all the way and then we have disaster on our hands. Let's start prepping our meatballs. So I have some ground beef, some ground pork, and to that I'm adding the basil and thyme that we cut up just a little while ago. Then I'm gonna go in with some pink salt, garlic powder, Italian seasoning, crushed red pepper, fennel, gluten-free panko, and then the onions and the carrots that we cooked. So I am not gonna stir this up right now because the onions and the carrots are hot and ain't nobody trying to burn their little fingers, you know what I mean? So this guy is gonna hang out and cool down, and while that's cooling, I'm gonna go work on some other things, and then we'll come back and play with our pretty meatballs. Our carrots are cooked to perfection. I am so happy. So they still have a little tiny ways to go, but that's okay. That will finish cooking with the marinara sauce, no problem whatsoever. So moving on to our marinara, I went ahead and I added 2 28-ounce cans of whole peeled tomatoes to the pot, our basil that we smashed up with a knife, our garlic, some garlic powder just to intensify that flavor, some pink salt, and some Italian seasoning. To make sure that our marinara does not taste acidic from all of the tomatoes, I'm gonna help our carrots along and add a little extra sweetness with some maple syrup. So we're adding just a little bit, I would say like a tablespoon max. And again, we're gonna cross our fingers and hope for the best. It is finally meatball time and my soul is so happy right now. So I'm taking my hands and just mixing everything together like that because I wanna make sure that every single bite has some of everything. The carrot, the garlic, the onions, the seasonings, and all the things. I'm gonna use the same pan where I cooked the carrots and the onions. I added a little more olive oil, maybe about another tablespoon, and then I'm putting my meatballs in here. So the plan is to cook them for 4-ish minutes on each side, and every 4 or so minutes I'm just going to take a look at them and I'm going to turn them to another side so they get nice brown and crispy all over the place. Oh my gosh, it smells incredible in here. I wish we had smell of it. I'm checking on the meatballs, and what I'm doing is looking for the change in color. So if you look at the bottom where the pan meets the meatball, you'll see that the meatballs are not as pink at the bottom. So that tells me it is a good time to turn everyone. So I'm going to flip them onto the other side, let them cook for another 4 or so minutes, and we're gonna keep this party going. Look at her, Miss America. Listen, oh my God. Oh my God, this sauce, she is looking so bright, it's not even funny. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take out the big stems of basil, and I'm gonna attempt to do this with my spatula. Why? Because I'm lazy and I don't wanna dirty another utensil. However, my plan was foiled. It did not work out well. And there you have it. Yep, I love that for me. And here we go with the finishing touches on our marinara. So I have my immersion blender and I'm gonna blend all of this up. It doesn't have to be completely smooth, but I know for sure I do not want any chunks of carrot because that's not the vibe. So I'm going to do this until it is to the consistency that I like. And then I think it's time to make the magic happen. Look at that lusciousness. This sauce is so beautiful, so just, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Marinara, meat meatballs, meatballs, meat marinara. Oh, what a beautiful union. So ordinarily when I make meatballs and marinara, I will form the meatballs, I bake them, and when they're almost done, I will throw in the marinara in the same casserole dish and let everything cook together. This time I wanted to do it a little bit different and have that like extra crisp on the outside of the meatballs. And listen, no matter how you do it, if you love it, then that's all that matters. But this right here is making my soul so freaking happy. Dinner is done. I am so freaking excited, and I'm just going to forewarn you, we are feeding dogs right now, so you may hear little paws moving around the cabin. It is what it is, but here we are. Look it. Oh. Yes, our beef and pork meatballs with some pasta. So I did say that I was gonna make pasta that was made from cassava flour, and I was wrong. We have capellini pasta that is brown rice from Jovial, and I love the Jovial brand, so this is what we're eating tonight. But that's not what we're here for. The main event is the meatball. So, oh my gosh. Let's not, and I have like one noodle. What? And it's a tiny noodle. We're not here for the noodles. Oh my God. The meatballs are so tasty. They're tender. They sat in the marinara for like 20 minutes while the pasta water came to a boil and the pasta cooked. And that helped, I think, to like infuse them with even more flavor and moisture. Having the carrots in there and the onions and cooking that first, and then having the carrots in the marinara. Wow, chef's kiss. I've never done it before, and I don't think I will go back to making marinara without the carrots, because that is so good. So they just lend like a subtle sweetness, and then adding the maple syrup, like the two just, so delicious.